Is Pakistan about to get directly involved? Just as the US and Israel are locked in fierce conflict with Iran, a unit equipped exclusively with Chinese-made air defense missiles has suddenly deployed to Saudi Arabia, clearly more than a simple military exchange. First, the Middle East situation. The US and Israel have joined forces against Iran, launching relentless airstrikes. Iran hasn't backed down, responding with missiles and drones targeting Israel while relentlessly striking US military bases. This has put Saudi Arabia in a tough spot. With US bases on its soil, it has become a prime target for Iran. Missiles fly in, drones swarm in, and Saudi Arabia's own Patriot and Thaad systems simply cannot withstand the saturation attacks, letting too many targets slip through. Saudi Arabia immediately sought US assistance. After all, they pay hefty protection fees, purchase American equipment, and host US troops on their soil. But the US is fully occupied helping Israel intercept Iranian missiles, and can't spare the attention. This isn't the first time either. When Israel bombed Qatar, the US turned a blind eye. How could Saudi Arabia not have reservations? Right at this critical juncture, Pakistan made its move. They dispatched troops equipped with heavy-duty gear, exclusively Chinese-made air defense missiles, the Li-80 medium-range system, and the AFM-90 short-range system. This high-low, long-short combination, deployed at Saudi Arabia's critical locations, effectively formed a protective umbrella. The Li-80, an export variant of the HQ-16, can track long-range targets and simultaneously intercept multiple threats, whether missiles or drones. The AFM-90 is an upgraded variant of the HQ-7, specifically designed to counter low-altitude targets like cruise missiles and drones with high accuracy. The synergy between these two systems makes it significantly harder for Iran to launch saturation attacks. Pakistan's deployment wasn't impulsive, it's backed by a contract. In September 2025, Pakistan and Saudi Arabia signed a mutual strategic defense agreement. Attacking Saudi Arabia is tantamount to attacking Pakistan, triggering joint action from both nations. This troop deployment fulfills the contractual obligation, making it entirely legitimate. Military cooperation between the two nations dates back to the 1960s, with Pakistan having trained over 8,000 Saudi military personnel, cementing their close relationship. Pakistan's military prowess complements Saudi Arabia's financial resources perfectly. Furthermore, as the only nuclear-armed nation in the Islamic world, estimated to possess around 160 nuclear warheads, Pakistan provides Saudi Arabia with a reassuring deterrent. But what truly caught the world's attention wasn't the deployment itself, but the fact that all the equipment was Chinese, not a single piece of American or European gear. Previously, Gulf nations like Saudi Arabia relied entirely on the US for security, using American-made equipment and paying countless billions in annual protection fees. Yet America has become increasingly unreliable. When Saudi Arabia came under attack this time, the US washed its hands of the matter. Saudi Arabia has seen through it. America's security promises are merely tools for control, utterly useless when it matters most. How can anyone trust a nation that binds allies with agreements yet stands idly by when they are attacked? Enter Pakistan, deploying Chinese air defense systems with significant fanfare. Chinese equipment is reliable, reasonably priced, and free of political strings attached, a hassle-free solution. More crucially, Pakistan's actions demonstrate to Saudi Arabia and the entire Gulf region that alternatives to the United States exist. Previously, there was no choice but to align with the US. But now they see alternative paths. The erosion of American security hegemony is self-inflicted. This time, Pakistan's deployment leaves the US displeased yet powerless to stop it, forced to watch its ally pivot. Some question, Pakistan maintains ironclad ties with China, yet deploys Chinese missiles to Saudi Arabia, potentially intercepting Iranian missiles. Has its stance shifted? This requires separate analysis. Pakistan signed an agreement with Saudi Arabia to fulfill commitments and safeguard its brother nation's security, not specifically targeting Iran. Iran and Saudi Arabia have long been at odds, fighting a proxy war in Yemen. Pakistan shielding Saudi Arabia from missiles aids its ally, not China. China sells equipment to enhance partner nations' self-defense capabilities, not to provoke conflict. China also cooperates with Iran, but this doesn't mean it will block Pakistan. International relations are complex. Pakistan is a sovereign nation with its own interests. Its decades-long partnership with Saudi Arabia won't change, just because it buys Chinese equipment. Practically speaking, Pakistan's military deployment might actually stabilize the situation. Iran previously assumed attacking Saudi Arabia would carry little consequence. The US couldn't intervene, so why not strike? Now that Pakistan has entered the fray with nuclear capabilities, Iran must weigh its next move carefully. Should tensions escalate and Pakistan retaliate, the consequences would be severe. Thus, this move serves to cool Iran's actions, warning it against overstepping. Pakistan and Iran share no deep-seated animosity. Both are Islamic nations, albeit of different sects. Pakistan's intervention fulfills its commitment to Saudi Arabia, not an act of provocation against Iran. Now, regarding the equipment itself, the Li-80 and FM-90 are merely components of China's air defense system. In recent years, Chinese military hardware has gained an increasingly positive reputation internationally, not only for its affordability, but also for its solid combat performance. Middle Eastern nations like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar, once major buyers of American systems, are now exploring Chinese options. This shift stems from the U.S. practice of attaching numerous conditions to arms sales, restrictions on usage, mandatory reporting requirements, and other burdensome red tape. China operates differently. It's a straightforward transaction without hidden agendas. The system Pakistan acquired isn't a downgraded version. Its performance matches what the PLA uses domestically. This demonstrates China's confidence in its equipment and underscores the strong relationship between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, enabling Pakistan to secure top-tier gear. With this system, Saudi Arabia can now confront Iranian drones and missiles with greater confidence. Previously, relying on Patriot systems, Saudi Arabia often failed to intercept even Houthi drones, let alone Iranian missiles. The Li-80 and FM-90, designed for low-altitude, slow-moving, small targets and saturation attacks, perfectly address Saudi Arabia's weaknesses. In the long run, Pakistan's deployment this time could reshape the Middle East security landscape. Previously, the U.S. held unrivaled dominance, with Gulf nations beholden to its whims. Now, Pakistan's introduction of Chinese equipment effectively tears an opening in America's sphere of influence. Gulf states seeking military hardware no longer need to fixate on the U.S., nor must they rely solely on America for backing. Pakistan's proven reliability, China's combat-proven equipment, and Pakistan's shared religious and cultural affinity with Gulf nations. If this path succeeds, more countries will follow suit. The U.S. won't accept being pushed out and will likely attempt to court Saudi Arabia or pressure Pakistan, but Saudi Arabia has been deeply disappointed this time, and warming its relationship back up won't be easy. Pakistan isn't a pushover either, backed by China's equipment and technical support. While China won't directly intervene, the sheer volume of equipment alone is enough to give the U.S. headaches. Ultimately, the core issue isn't Pakistan's military prowess or China's advanced equipment, but the collapse of U.S. credibility in the Middle East. If you can't protect them, why should they stick with you? Saudi Arabia has money, Pakistan has troops, China has equipment. Together, they form a self-sustaining loop. Previously, one piece was missing, now it's complete. Should future Middle Eastern crises arise, Pakistan and Saudi Arabia may well negotiate independently without waiting for U.S. directives. As the Islamic world's sole nuclear power, Pakistan's involvement sends a clear message to Iran: don't overstep. Though Iran holds no deep grudge against Pakistan, sectarian differences create inherent friction. With Pakistan now openly siding with Saudi Arabia, how could Iran remain indifferent? Yet Iran isn't foolish. Provoking Pakistan's nuclear capabilities is no joke. This dynamic may actually compel Iran to exercise restraint. Some worry that Pakistan's involvement might draw the conflict onto its own soil. What if Iran, enraged and humiliated, strikes Pakistan? While possible, this scenario is unlikely. Iran is already reeling from the combined blows of the US and Israel. Struggling to manage its own crises, it lacks the capacity to open a new front. Moreover, Pakistan is not Saudi Arabia. It possesses nuclear weapons. If hostilities escalate, Iran would face severe consequences. Therefore, Iran will most likely hold back, perhaps venting with some verbal threats but unlikely to take actual action. Moreover, Pakistan's deployment is primarily for air defense, not offensive operations. Its stance is clear: here to help a brother defend his home, neither provoking trouble nor fearing it. This attitude actually makes it difficult for Iran to retaliate. Overall, Pakistan's deployment to Saudi Arabia, equipped entirely with Chinese gear, carries significance far beyond ordinary military aid. It signals a major breach in America's security architecture in the Middle East, and marks Gulf nations' search for new security guarantees. Chinese equipment plays a crucial role in this process, though not as the driving force. The driving force is Pakistan itself, which has demonstrated through action that in complex geopolitical games, relying on others is less reliable than relying on oneself. Only with genuine capabilities can one stand firm. The future trajectory of the Middle East remains uncertain, but one thing is certain: The United States can no longer return to its days of absolute dominance. Pakistan has set this precedent, and more nations will follow suit. Ultimately, security must be secured through one's own efforts. Relying on others is unreliable. Pakistan has taught everyone a lesson this time and earned significant prestige for itself in the Middle East.